Very pleased to be before you today to testify in support of House Bill 3332, which we call the Shareholders United Bill. This is a modest bill that addresses a complex and growing problem: the rising influence of large corporate political contributions on our democratic process. Current research details that nearly 9 in 10 Americans agree that there is way too much corporate money in politics, and actually 51% of those surveyed strongly agreed with that position. But according to the 2010 decision in Citizens United, corporations have the same rights as individuals to speech, and therefore to make campaign contributions. Corporations are people. But if that is true, then it's certainly also true that corporations are owned by people, and that those shareholders should have a greater say in how their money is spent. What this bill will do is require companies to include shareholders in their political contribution decisions. It says that businesses must supply their shareholders with a budget of the amount set aside for political contributions. It obligates businesses to report the campaigns they intend to contribute to. And lastly, it requires shareholders be notified when a contribution is made. Is Citizens United a problem in Oregon? I submit that when a candidate for governor receives nearly $100,000 from one corporation, there's a problem. When a corporation in Missouri spends nearly $6 million on an Oregon ballot measure, there is a problem. And when an out-of-state corporation spends over $3 million on advertising in a U.S. Senate race in Oregon, there is a problem. So yes, I believe we have a problem here in Oregon. Some might argue that this is a partisan bill, but I've received many emails over the past month from constituents of varying political persuasions, all urging me to rein in election spending. I would also say that the large contributions are worrisome no matter whom the recipient is. And in recent Oregon elections, Democrats often outspent Republicans. So no, this is not intended to be a partisan bill. Others will argue that all political donations and advertising are implicit in free speech, and that any limit on campaign spending is therefore undemocratic. To these people, I suggest that if one side of a debate is given 1 minute and the other an hour, we have not had a fair and open debate. In 2014, 73% of the money that the two major party candidates for governor raised came from just 6% of their donors. 73% from 6% of the donors. When out-of-state companies spend millions on campaign advertising, Oregon people, real Oregon people, get left behind. So I'm here today to propose a solution, a modest solution aimed at reclaiming our elections, strengthening our democracy, and shifting influence back into the hands of people in Oregon. It's important to understand what the bill will not do. My bill will not lower the limits of campaign contributions. It will not stop PACs from funding advertising in political campaigns. It will not limit the Citizens United understanding of free speech. All the bill will do is involve shareholders in those decisions. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is a good bill. It's a bill aimed at promoting equality, accountability, and overall fairness. It's a bill that states without equivocation that our democracy is one where individuals matter and where Oregonians have a stronger voice in our elections. I respectfully urge the committee to send this bill to the floor with a due pass recommendation. And after my colleague speaks, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you so much, Chair Gilliam, members of the committee. I'm Ann Leininger, State Representative from Lake Oswego, representing Lake Oswego and Southwest Portland. In the years since the 2010 decision in Citizens United, the voices of powerful interests have become even more powerful in our democratic process. A recent study by the Brennan Center from New York University shows that in Senate elections alone, outside spending has doubled from 2010 to 2014 to $486 million, and in some competitive races, the ratio of outside dollars to locally raised dollars is 2/3 of the money comes from outside dollars. Spending by super PACs, organizations whose campaign restrictions have been very much reduced, eliminated by the Citizens United decision, have reached $1 billion. And of that $1 billion, $600 million of it came from just 195 sources. So the voice of a very small number of entities and people is becoming even greater as we make decisions about how to move forward in our democracy. House Bill 3332 would require that an entity that intends to make any political expenditure first obtain approval from shareholders or members by an affirmative vote. It would provide the check on campaign spending that Justice Kennedy envisioned when he wrote the majority opinion in the decision Citizens United. There was a Washington Post article on this in 2014 in October that said, the premise of the decision was that government can't block corporate political spending because a corporation is simply an association of citizens with free speech rights, and an association can be subject to the democratic workings of its members. A corporation making corporate decisions will be subject to the democratic workings of its members. Well, that can be true if we pass a law that requires that a corporation operate by the democratic workings of its members before it or an LLC or a cooperative make a political funding decision. And in that manner, we can instill in this Citizens United decision, which has really turned campaign funding on its head and opened up really new realities for how people make decisions in our country, we can align it with at least what Justice Kennedy thought he was doing, the check and balance system that he thought he was applying, or would be built into the Citizens United decision. So for that reason, I join my colleague, chief sponsor, Representative Gomberg, enthusiastically encouraging you to move this bill to the floor with a due pass recommendation. Thank you.